But, you know, instead, we're going to talk about home building today. That is really an interesting topic, and we're going to look at all the different kinds of trends that are happening with home building, because it's all about, to me anyway, I'm thinking what the consumer wants. So what is it that the consumer wants? And my guest today, I'm hoping that you will call and offer some harassment to, because
So
just
nice.
that kind of guy. Yeah, Kyle Lapierre is with us today. Kyle is with Lapierre Enterprises. Kyle, I know a couple of years ago anyway, at least, you were the president of the Home Builders Association.
Yes.
Yeah.
The state association in 2009 and our local association, I don't know, 3 or 4 different times.
Yes, very involved. And I know your father has been very involved as well.
Yep.
And
he was the state president in '99, and back in the day, at one point we had the whole home builder office in our garage, because
wow.
it was back in the day when you couldn't even afford an office, so it was in our garage.
And now they have a nice garage. So part of what Kyle's talking about today are his own observations, and then also maybe from the perspective of the Home Builders Association here. Plus, let me say that Kyle built a home for me, and it was a beautiful home.
Yeah, it was.
People I know are still living in it.
Yes, that is true, and it's still a beautiful home. Thank goodness.
It is a
Yes.
beautiful home, and a beautiful view area, which the Tri-Cities has so many beautiful view areas. Well, so the first thing that comes to my mind is the size of homes. Are we getting smaller? Because at one time we just wanted to spread out.
Well, for the most part, yes. You're seeing sizes go down, but real more efficient plans. So the layout, the way, say the house functions, you're seeing more usable space, but in smaller square footages.
Smaller, not that much smaller though.
No.
I mean, these
I mean,
homes are still at least 2,000 square feet, most of them, aren't they?
It's hard to get, say, a house today under 2,000 square feet if you're going to have a full family. My folks raised 6 kids, in our original house, 800 square feet, 1
Ooh.
bathroom. Yeah,
Ooh.
but obviously in time you build bigger and better.
We're not very tolerant of that, are we? We like our spaces compared to other countries. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I didn't have a bedroom, I don't think, until I was like, 10 or 11 years old, when some of the older kids moved out.
Well, that's a little bit different now. And so tell me about yard size. Do people still want to keep up a big yard, or do they want smaller?
For the most part, everybody's leaning towards smaller yard sizes, easy maintenance, so you don't have to go out and spend, 2 hours mowing the yard on a weekend and pruning and pulling weeds and all that. So yeah, smaller yards, there's no question. That's what's, more prevalent in the Tri-Cities now.
Yeah. Well, especially with our drought conditions too, so you want to have to water less. But that doesn't mean that you can't have some really gorgeous outdoor areas.
Oh, sure. The lots that we're typically building on now, and they're averaging 10 to 14,000 square feet. So it's not huge. Your yard was a half acre.
Yeah.
So you had a whole lot more grass to mow. So on the smaller lot sizes, you don't have as much to take care of. But you can still put a you can do a 4,000 square foot house. I just put a 4,000 square foot house on a 10,000 square foot lot.
So do they have
Two-story.
any yard? I mean.
Sure. They
Yeah.
have big enough backyard to actually put a pool in.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
And the difference there is you're on city services, so sewer, as opposed to your house being on septic. Your backyard, you had your drain field and all that for your septic to deal with.
Don't talk about my house anymore, because I don't live there, okay?
I've
You-
dug one of those before, and they're not fun.
My former home, okay?
Yes, correct.
All right. Another thing that seems to be changing is the living room. I mean, do we even build houses anymore with an actual separate living room?
Very few. I mean, I would say probably 1 in 30, 1 in 40 that we do now has what would be considered a formal living room, but nobody uses a formal living room anymore. Formal dining rooms even now, most of the houses that we're doing now have what I would say is a semi-formal dining room, say right off of the kitchen, which would be like a glorified kitchen nook,
Yeah.
but just much bigger. And people are more apt to use it because it's right there in the living space, where you got to go off to your own, a dining room, which you'd use at Thanksgiving and Christmas if you're even lucky. But 9 times out of 10, you're sitting on the couch with your plate of food on your lap.
Yeah. Well, why are we seeing these changes? People just
Function.
Function.
Yeah, rather than having a wasted space, 150 square feet of, or 200 square feet of wasted space for a living room or a formal dining room, you combine that with, say, a typical, 10 by 12 kitchen nook, increase the size by another 100 square feet, so it is like a normal dining room. You've just saved 150 square feet you can use somewhere else. Essentially, you get in the same spaces, and you're going to use it more because it's right there in the living space by your kitchen and say, family room or great room.
And that kind of ties in with the, 2,000, the little bit smaller. People want the amenities, they're just fitting them in smaller.
Correct.
Form and function. This is what I want, nothing wasted.
Correct.
Boom.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why they're
Yeah.
smaller, but there's more features. Because we've talked about this, he's been in on our real estate show with Lance Kinmore, and
Mhm.
we're seeing that. People aren't getting less inside the home, but they don't need a 3,000 square foot home.
Now, one of the things that you really see now is the people that I build for. There's a lot of thought on the front end going into spaces. So, say like a kitchen, not wanting, your refrigerator on the other side of the kitchen that you got to go around an island. So if you're cooking dinner at the range, you got to walk a mile and a half to go get some butter for whatever you're cooking. So functional space, how everything can make it easier, in a smaller space maybe. Laundry rooms are another one. The space saving, for sorting laundry, having a folding table so you can pull it out of the dryer and throw it and fold it and put it on hangers and have hanging space. People don't iron as much anymore. I was going to say a lot of women, but I'd say
Whoa.
probably men included. I probably iron more than most women, which is sad. But I am single. So yeah, you probably don't see that as much, but the laundry room's another area just because who likes to do laundry?
Right, and have it out of the way, but make it functional.
Yeah.
Hey, back to the kitchen. So we used to. I'm thinking the larger the kitchen, the more that we were attracted to it. But now you're right. That just does seem a little non-functional when you
Yeah,
got to walk.
Definitely. And, big space.
Yeah.
Just, and it's not as homey. If it's a huge kitchen, yeah, it doesn't feel real homey.
Mm-hmm. So I guess you make that workspace a little bit smaller, but then you have the open to where the people are, and
Sure.
you can interact with the people.
Exactly.
Living rooms, I remember seeing that great room concept some time ago, maybe like 15 years ago,
Mhm.
and at that time I thought, yeah, I don't like that. What? But now totally
Oh, yeah.
I would never have a living room
Any other
because
way.
it's definitely wasted space.
Correct. Absolutely.
So it's funny how we change. Let's take a break here. I want to remind you of our phone number. So if you want to call, you got a question or comment for Kyle or anything about home building, 547-8726. We're back in a moment. It's Monday, August 10th. This is Meet in the Middle. I'm Christine Brown. My guest today is Kyle Lapierre from Lapierre Enterprises, the home builder here in the Tri-Cities. We're talking about what people want these days and what the trends are in new homes. And we certainly have a lot of new homes in the Tri-Cities. Don't we, Kyle? Every time we turn around, we see new developments
Yeah.
springing up.
Tri-Cities is growing, still growing.
Still growing.
Yeah, it's
It's
great.
amazing. It is good, isn't it? All right, so I want to talk a little bit about metals because it just seems that if you have gold now fixtures and you're just so out, and there's bronze, there's
Stainless
brushed,
steel, sure.
there's all different kinds. Where are we now? What's the hot metal?
Back to kind of chrome. Chrome is kind of back.
Okay.
The polished brass and the oil rub bronze is still, it's kind of a darker, black finish, but
Mhm.
chrome kind of seems to be coming back more so.
So sometimes you can, if you want to update your house, you can just go through and change out some of the metal parts, and you're a lot more updated.
Well, depending on when your house is built, you can just wait for the trend to come back and
For it to come
harvest
back.
gold. Harvest gold is going to be back in at some point.
Oh,
And
that's,
shag carpet
Yeah,
and paneling.
absolutely.
no, that's too long. We'll wait. What about copper? I saw that as an accent.
Yeah, the copper colors. There's a whole appliance line in copper tones and that, but obviously real copper is expensive.
Yes.
So those copper finishes, yeah, they're not in your starter homes. That's for sure.
Ah, okay. So maybe there could be some imitation.
And
Yeah.
and that's actually what you are seeing too. They're getting, you know, more crazy with paint colors, that a lot of the finishes now say may take on that tone like it is a copper, but it's a painted finish.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I did a little reading before our discussion today, and I read that 7 out of 10 kitchens are white. And I don't mean plain, but just having white as the basic color and then other kinds of accents. Is that's still pretty prevalent?
Yes, absolutely. You know, and people don't realize it, but how many different tones of white. You know, it's not just stark white. You know,
Mhm.
there's different tones of white.
Eggshell, ivory, off ivory.
Correct.
We spend a lot of time in the stores.
Yeah, yeah. So a tone of white, yes, and then people can then accent with furnishings, decorations, paint color, you know, accent walls, things like that, to get some color into it.
Yes, and there always seems to be a trend that has to do with the finish on appliances, like.
Well, stainless steel is kind of the one that's on its way out. You know.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Everybody, you know, that complains about fingerprints and
Yeah.
and you know those things, you know, especially with little kids. Now you're seeing a finish that it looks again like that painted finish. It's a stainless finish. It looks exactly like stainless steel, and it doesn't have the problem with fingerprints.
And scratches too.
Correct.
Because if you've ever scratched or dented a stainless steel
Oh, yeah.
appliance,
It's
it's
over.
not coming
No,
out.
Mhm.
no. But I think the appliance color, you know, black is going to come back, no question, just because people are getting away from stainless steel.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Okay. You know, and what we have observed are the basic wall colors. So if a builder is building, you know, 20 homes or whatever, it used to be that all the walls were white. All the walls were white. Then we kind of went cream and off-white.
Sure.
Then we have even gone into some grays here and some light browns. Where are we going?
Gray right now is the color.
Gray's hot.
Yeah,
huh?
but different, you know, obviously different tones again, but grays, softer blacks, and then creamy earth tones, creamy whites. That's what's in.
Hmm. So I noticed that builders often have this is our basic, and then we'll give you these choices. You get 3 choices of, I mean, it could be appliance color, it could be wall color. Is that pretty standard these days? So
Depends on the price of the house. You know, if you're dealing, you know, say with you know, say a production builder, and not taking anything away from it, but they have to keep their, you know, their prices down, and the way they do that is obviously buying in quantity. So they limit those selections. So, you know, it's not a bad thing, but obviously on a custom home you can do anything you want.
yeah. Well, yeah, you have to be able to keep those prices down, and here in the Tri-Cities, evidently, we are still, I mean, almost, if we're not number 1, really high up there in terms of affordable housing.
Absolutely,
So
we're very affordable.
I mean, we're building some really quality homes. I mean, homes that in California, are these homes that are like 175 in the Tri-Cities? What do you think they would be in California?
Oh,
They'd have to be
3
like,
times as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So-
the reason, you know, for that is your land cost there obviously is going to be a lot higher.
Mhm.
A few years ago when we were building with another builder from Seattle, our actual building cost here and Seattle's building cost was about the same. But when you factored in the difference of your land cost, that's where the big difference came in.
Yeah. Have you dealt with very many people from California?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. What do they say?
They're blown away by the prices that, you know, they come in here and they look at our price and they can buy, you know, bigger, better, and keep it at that same price, say, that what they were used to there. But I also had people say from Georgia that they came in and what they could get here compared to what they could get in Georgia. You know, in Georgia she had all brick and she was sitting on a lake and it was, you know, a very beautiful home. And that's not what, you know, we had here
Mhm.
in that price point. That is what they wanted to stick in. So it depends on where you're coming from. Who wants to live in Georgia?
Well, a lot of people do. I mean, I don't, but a lot of people do.
Okay, me neither.
Yeah. All right. Hey, our phone number, 547-8726, if you've got a comment that you want to share with us today. So open spaces, great rooms, kitchen, dining, we pretty much talked about that, but we're just kind of turning into one big open space and
Sure.
then bedrooms down there at the
Yep.
other end.
Sure,
huh?
yeah. But I mean, yeah, and keep the bedrooms away from your living space, or at least as far as you can. So if you've got kids sleeping and you're still out watching TV, that you don't have the kids' bedrooms around the other side of that great room TV.
What about basements?
It depends on the lot still. I mean,
Oh,
obviously
okay.
we don't have that, as much here, whereas like in Colorado, because the frost line, they have to get the foundation down below freezing. So that's why pretty much every house in, the cold areas of Colorado have basements. Crazy part is there, they don't count that square footage typically as square footage for the house.
What?
Most of the time.
I mean, is it living space?
Can be. Most of them, though, will be like an unfinished basement.
Oh,
Obviously,
wow.
people finish them, but
Yeah.
just kind of because geographically, in that location, they have to put a basement in to get the footing down below the frost line.
What I've noticed, and I hope that we're going to move away from this, is that we have developments that have cookie cutter houses. I mean, you have like 5 different plans, so you have this huge multiple acre, many acres, and you have all the same houses. There's only like 5 of them. And they have like the same range of like maybe 4 color choices
Sure.
for outside.
Sure.
It's like, come on, can't we, mix that up a little bit?
You can. It just costs more money. and those people that are buying those houses, they didn't mind it.
No, they didn't. Okay, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
All right, let's.
Yeah, like I got sick and was in the hospital, and Bill was retired and took on part of the general contracting job.
Oh.
Hauled garbage to the dump, everything. Guy never said one time like, "Hey, you gonna pay me back for dump fees and all that?" No, never did.
Wow. So, Bill, where are you located? Out in the Richland area? Yeah. Do you have a view property?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's
So,
unbelievable.
Bill, you're one of these people that we've been talking about that customized a lot of your home.
There's nothing in his house that wasn't customized. Bill has granite counters in his laundry room.
Oh, Bill, you're lucky man. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know about Lapeer and other builders here too. Thanks for your call. I appreciate it. So, I want to get back to that, the cookie cutter type thing. If you go back to really old neighborhoods in a lot of communities, unfortunately, here in the Tri-Cities, we don't have that many old neighborhoods because
Sure.
we're a fairly new community. Maybe if you go to Walla Walla, you see every home on the block really looks different.
Sure.
They're very different. Are we gonna get back to that at all, where we have different homes?
Yeah, and actually, you see it more now because the cost to build. I mean, it's going to be the cost to build no matter what. I mean, your dollar per square foot, and depends on the obviously the style of house and how you want the finishes. But you can, because we have such skilled labor now. Back in the day, those framers that were framing those houses were very skilled. The really intricate hand cut roofs and those things. So you will see it just because the skilled labor that we have now are able to still build those types of houses.
Mm-hmm. All right, hey, we're going to take another break here, but what I want to talk with Kyle about is some alternative energy issues and whether or not they're being incorporated in a lot more homes. Plus, what's it like as a builder to build here in the Tri-Cities? This is Meet in the Middle. I'm Christine Brown. Glad you could join us today. Oh boy, we're having fun on this Monday. My guest is Kyle Lapeer. He's with Lapeer Enterprises. Our phone number, if you want to call, make a comment, or if you've got a question, it's 547-8726.
His eyes lit up on that.
Yeah, Kyle's like, oh no, not a caller, please.
I just figured one of my buddies was going to call in and harass me, so I'm just thankful that so far nobody has.
Well, yeah, okay. We have a. John has always got his finger on the 7-second button there for any harassments to
Good.
be too far gone.
We're
All
ready
right.
with the dump button.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about alternative energy. I had Cindy Johnson on the other day. We were talking about the South Badger development and that it's going a little bit slower
Very.
than what people originally hoped would happen, and that I had heard that part of that was due to the fact that they're using geothermal, aren't they? So that the energy costs are even set up as a little
Sure.
bit more money.
Sure. And then, there are other green building practices. Most,
Yeah.
I mean, almost every house that I build is full built green.
Uh-huh.
Just almost building it, say, to code. There's only a few more things you have to do to get into, say, your second and third levels of built green.
Mhm.
So the houses, with the building code the way it is now, what they were trying to do out there, in my opinion, was go out even further. The problem is the majority of your home buyers, they don't want to pay for that, and that's why they were going so slow. So they went in, they're revamping some of their standards,
Mhm.
which I think is very smart. And I would use the example years ago, one of the developments that went in that required every house to have a tile roof. Obviously, a tile roof's gonna last you forever, but 3 times the money that a normal composition roof costs.
Mhm.
Would you rather use, that other money to put in, tile and hardwood and all those things and still have a comp roof that's gonna last you 30 or 40 years with the, as far as the warranty goes? So it's what the people, are willing to pay for, and that's one of the reasons, why they were a little slow on the start. It's a great location. It's right up the street from where I live, so it's a great location.
It is a beautiful location. They're going to look out over a lot of grape growing areas, and it's quite beautiful to be on that side of the mountain as well. And they are moving along a little bit slower.
Sure.
But so what do we know about the future of alternative energy, or energy that's actually created there at the development level?
Photovoltaic, your solar is
Uh-huh.
the prices have come down, and the quality of the product has went up. So you do see it a little bit more. Water heaters are a real common solar
Mhm.
way of going. The problem is in the winter times, things like that, where if it's a dark and dreary day, to heat and cool your house with solar, that's pretty tough. But obviously geothermal is still a great way to go. It's just the cost to put it in. Still, we live in an area that we have very cheap gas and electric rates,
Mm-hmm.
so it's hard.
So
to
it doesn't pencil out right now.
Not as fast.
On a basis where you're a custom basis, have you done any solar?
Sure. Oh, sure.
Oh, you have?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, so solar can be kind of like a car that uses a battery and gasoline.
But you're putting in two systems. So then
Yeah.
you're putting in two systems.
Mhm.
Which obviously, one home that I did that was very, very, very high end. They essentially put in a full radiant system, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
put in just a typical forced air electric heat pump. They went with a heat pump and then a gas furnace. So they had kind of the best of everything. They will never recoup their costs, but they felt that it was their way of giving back, say, to the environment, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's what they felt they were doing their part.
Yeah. I guess if people have more money, they can do their part.
Yeah, sure.
I wish
Yeah.
more of us could do our
Yeah,
part.
most people are going to be selfish, and rather than put that in, they're going to want the tile and hardwood
Yes,
and granite
yeah.
and those things.
So is that fairly typical these days in terms of what people want? They want the tile floors or the wood floors or the granite. I mean, is that
For
is
the
that pretty
most part.
standard?
For the most
people are
part.
looking for that.
Yeah, for the most part, what you're seeing now is the function again. Rather than putting in hardwood, people say are going to put in hardwood tile. So it's tile that looks like hardwood, so you get the the beauty of hardwood, but then the functionality of tile. So you don't have dogs running on your beautiful hardwood floors scratching them up.
Mhm.
It's just a lot more friendly, and maintenance wise, obviously it's a lot easier to.
Durable water,
Yeah.
and if you've ever tried to resurface a hardwood floor, it's not anywhere that any of us really want to go.
Mhm.
I've done it before.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either. That's why I call it Dave Dye. Plug. That was a plug for Dave Dye. Sorry.
Okay. Development layout. If you're a drone or if you're flying in a helicopter airplane over top of these developments, are they looking any different today than they were 20 years ago in the way that developments are laid out?
Yeah, a little more, just efficient. They're still going to try to lay things out more efficient. So roads going in and out. Just the traffic studies. There's people that do that for a living, and they figure out the best way to get people in and out.
So cul-de-sacs are here to stay.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's where I live. A lot of people driving past my house, other than my
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, that is nice. So no new changes there.
Not really.
Well, I want to talk with you about building in the Tri-Cities. If you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being excellent, how would you rate building in the Tri-Cities?
When you're talking about, say, our building departments, both the
Yes.
cities and the counties,
Yeah.
you know, how far does this radio transmission go? So
Well, Ellensburg.
okay, those guys are
No.
still okay. So, I don't want to invite a bunch of people from, other areas, but no, we have a great, relationship with, the cities and the counties here. I would say my dad would slap me if I'd said a 10, so I'll say a 9.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, because
Why?
he never wants, he doesn't want them to think that they're that great.
Oh, okay.
You got to give them a little hard time. But
Mhm.
no, our building officials, planning commissions, all those, we're very fortunate to live in an area that you've got a good relationship with these people, and they understand, they live in the community.
And so we have building codes that are established at the state level, right?
At the national level.
At the national level. Okay, so where do our building codes stack up against that?
The same.
They
Absolutely.
are the same.
Yeah, you have
Okay.
to meet. Yeah, you have to meet the same building code.
So could a community establish more strict building codes?
Absolutely, and
They
that's what
could?
you do
Okay.
find in some bigger cities, things like that they'll even go further beyond.
Mhm.
But no, our in the cities and the counties here locally, I mean it's a great relationship, and like I said, they're like-minded people. So you don't have some whack job that is wanting to go do something that's going to cost a whole lot more money just because they think it'd be the better way to go.
A whack job, you call them.
Yep.
Okay. Um,
I didn't say stupid like
no,
Donald
thank you.
Trump.
Thank you. Okay, whack job though. That's a little bit. All right. So in the area of Pasco, their development was so large. I mean, it truly did have a impact on the city.
Sure, absolutely.
And city services and education and that sort of thing. And so they imposed this. What do you call it?
Moratorium.
Yeah. Well, not a moratorium, but you had to pay a special fee.
Oh.
So okay, so you paid.
Impact fee.
Yeah, an impact
Yeah.
fee.
Yeah.
Thank you. And obviously that slowed down their building a bit.
Huge.
Yeah.
We had a study done. We paid Washington State University to do a study on the cost to build. So they factored in all the tax revenue that was generated, from it. Looked at it top to bottom, and what the conclusion with it was housing pays for itself. And if people, when you think about, you've got a bare lot, say before it's even developed, say, bare ground, and they're assessed at, I don't know, $500 for an acre, say, and then you put a bunch of houses in, and then you look at the tax revenue that they're getting from property taxes, the sales tax that the people are buying, at the grocery store, and, those things. Building pays for itself, but the problem, say with Pasco, is the reason why originally was because their land cost was so cheap. It really was. So when they went in and built that, then that drove in, all the commercial, Walmart and Lowe's and all the restaurants and all those things. The problem, the downside was when they finally figured out what impact that had on their schools, and then you start talking, what your city services, fire and police and all those things. Yeah, I mean, it took a while for them to figure it out, and then they went, and they're getting it figured out now.
Yeah. So it's a lag time also, though.
Sure.
You build the house and you bring the people, but you don't necessarily have the services for them until a decade later, and that is difficult. Very difficult.
It can be,
Yeah.
sure.
All right, we better take another break here, and I want to talk more about, subcontractors, employment in the area of construction, whether or not we have enough employees in that arena. So stay with us. This is Meet in the Middle. Kyle Lapierre is answering our questions today about home building in the Tri-Cities. He's with Lapierre Enterprises. And so here's my observation, Kyle. Having seen a number of, I pay attention to homes being built and just things being renovated. that a particular group of workers, Hispanic workers, have taken over basically a number of the trades, that they do a lot of the work when it comes to putting up drywall, putting up the mud, doing painting. I mean, companies that either employ a lot of Hispanic workers
Sure.
or the owners are Hispanic as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I would think that half the people that work on our houses are Hispanic, easily half.
Why is that so?
The labor force, they work hard.
They are hard workers, yes,
You
yes.
know, and then
They
and you
get the
don't
job
have
done.
as many. If you say white guys, you are Caucasian.
There-
I'm going to be careful here. I'm going to
Be
get in
careful.
trouble here in a minute.
Yeah, no.
But you don't have as many, starting out young that go in, say, to the trades where the Hispanic labor, they work in it. A lot of them, say, coming up from California or Arizona, and we live in a great area, so family and friends tell them about it, and then they're here. And like I said, we couldn't do it without them.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's an interesting perspective. We couldn't do it without them.
Yeah. And actually,
we couldn't have agriculture without them either.
The Russian population has grown too. I mean, we have a lot of Russians on our houses
On
too.
cruise?
Mhm,
Oh,
sure,
interesting.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, skilled labor. I mean, those guys. It's amazing, these people that can do anything and everything. They can lay tile and they can frame and they can do concrete. I mean, they can do just about anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I've observed also is that it's just moving through the levels of our society here in the U.S., and that is that you come in as a worker, then you're identified as knowing the job and knowing the people, so you become the foreman, and you learn more about the type of work and how it's cost out and everything. And from being a foreman, then you decide you want to run your own company.
Sure.
So people move through
Sure.
the levels.
Sure.
Any problems that you foresee in having the necessary population to do the work for home building here in our area?
Yes, absolutely. You're always looking for skilled labor. I mean, you're always looking for that. So, luckily, the people that we use, for the most part, the companies that we use, we've used for 15 to 20 years. So, we're pulling from a little bit different, workforce than others. But we've established relationships with these people and continue to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Skilled labor, where do people learn these trades?
Boy, I tell you, it's tough. Pasco, the high school has
Yes,
the
Bulldog House, yeah.
which is great. I know the Home Builder Association donates to that each year. Walla Walla's got a program, and I believe they're trying to get one either started at Tritech or CBC.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good industry. I mean, when I grew up, I wasn't really thrilled about the building industry because there wasn't a whole lot of money in it. When your folks are doing anything and everything to scrape by, and then the early 80s was horrible, those impressionable years for me. But then in the 90s, then the boom hit. It's like, okay, actually this might be better than becoming a school teacher. So
Oh man, we need school teachers so bad.
and sometimes I actually, because I think I'm 12, so I probably do better in that environment. But the overall workforce still, as far as the people that are going into it, they're the ones, like my finish carpenter. I mean, that guy should be a NASA engineer. I mean, he is a smart guy, and he chose finish carpentry, and he's extremely good at it.
Yeah, those folks are really valuable to our process here. So what do you, if you look out onto the landscape of the future of home building in the Tri-Cities, what do you say for the next 5 years and the next 10 years?
Well, I'd say at least for the next 5 years, we're still, going to be in a boom market. Right now, our inventory levels on the multiple listing, I think, are down towards 800, which is very low, for our area. But yeah, I think that at least the next 5 years. But still, when interest rates are as low as they are, that helps keep the housing market moving.
How much do home builders pay attention to what's happening at Hanford?
Oh, well, always, no question. We're not as, we're not as dependent as obviously as we used to be, because there's so much more industry here now. But obviously, yeah, the Hanford worker is, as far as in the price range of the houses that we're building, we sell a lot of homes to, Hanford employees.
Hmm. So there are several different ranges of home building, and I understand that we're known for being affordable housing here, that we have a lot of available affordable housing.
Sure.
Well, not a lot, because now we only have 800 homes on the market, which is super, super low. But so if you, do you build spec houses that are in the 400 range?
Yes. Well,
You do?
I just finished one that was 750.
750?
Spec house.
Kyle?
But it's a custom. I mean, essentially, I built it as if it was a custom home.
Yes, yes.
That that there's a homeowner involved and making all their selections.
But
so,
that was you.
Yeah.
So you built yourself
I-
750 home.
Yeah, I couldn't afford to live in it. Yeah.
So did you just finish it? How long is it?
Just
sitting?
now finished and we sold it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I did one last year too, and we got lucky and did it the same way. And pretty much when it was finished, they came in and they didn't want to go through the process of building, and it's a brand new house.
But they wanted that
built.
level of a home.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At one time we were really concerned with out-of-town builders coming in here, building a bunch of homes, and then leaving, and not having a backup of a local builder
Sure.
for these homes. Do we have that kind of problem still?
If you want to call it a problem,
Well,
yes. But with the Home Builder Association, I mean, that's a good example. It validates people when they come in,
Oh,
and
okay.
they're in the parade of homes. They get into the parade of homes and they look like they're an established builder. They've been in the parade 3 different years, and then all of a sudden, next thing you hear, that they packed up and pulled out and moved back to their hometown.
Mhm.
So you don't see it as much, but that's competition. You're going to have it no matter where you go.
How many home builders do we have in the Tri-Cities?
Oh,
Do you have any
goodness,
idea?
no. I honestly have no idea. I have no clue.
How can you be president of an organization and not know? How many
Well-
members are there of the I'm just curious. Do you know?
I think we're like 650,
Mhm.
and then I would think there's probably 250 builders in the association, but are they really builders? They could be a subcontractor,
Yeah, they could be,
specialty
yeah.
trade.
Mhm.
So, true builders, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna take a break here.